Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Whiskey 6, episode 11. 11, almost a full year that we've been doing this nonsense. So much fun. Welcome to all of you. Thanks for being here tonight. We are going to have an interesting one tonight because while we are going to talk about some whiskey, we also have some pretty cool things to talk about with our special guests, Walt and Tina from Frontiersman Adventures. But before we get them out here onto the stream, let's get our Whiskey 6 in here, starting with our friend Bobby. What is up, brother?
Not much, brother. Just got off work this morning.
Okay.
Came out, ready to start sipping some stuff.
All right. What are you sipping on right now?
I'm sipping on this right here from Sabbatical. It's an American blended whiskey, 88 proof. They're batch 3. Some pretty good stuff.
All right.
Now I usually sip on blended whiskeys, but this one's pretty good.
Right on. All right. Are you keeping it low key, or are you gonna bash that X?
Yep. No, I'm just not used to being first. Here we go. Look, we started off. Bad axe right here, people. Woo!
Right.
Yeah, man, this thing sends out the chips, dude. Wow.
It was flying there. Your wood was flying there.
I might start wearing some goggles or something.
Feel free to clip that when I said that Bobby's wood was flying everywhere.
Clip it.
Clipped. All right. Let's see who else we got backstage. There he is, the resident cowboy. And I think tonight, skeptic Sean from Whiskey Wars. What's up, Sean?
Possibly some skepticism here tonight. Yeah, we'll see. And Brian rightfully pointing out, all things are right in the world now. We can't start the show without some axing going on. We have to axe the axle. So
absolutely. I think next month we're going to have to all wear goggles because that wood was flying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Go ahead and clip it.
You definitely don't want Bobby's wood in your eye. That's for sure.
No. It's not good. It's not good.
No offense, Bobby. Polite pass.
Put your eye out.
All right, let's move on. Next up, we have from the Bourbon Drop, our buddy Myron. Myron, what is up?
What's up, fellas? What's up? First of all, let me say no Diddy. No Diddy.
Okay.
I don't need the flying wood. But what's up, fellas? I know I haven't been here in a while. So it's good to be back with y'all, man. It's good to be back.
Welcome. What are you drinking tonight, Myron?
A little bit of very old Barton. Actually, I saw Bobby's TikTok earlier today. He was doing the this or that, and it was 1792, and what was that? Kirkland. Man, Kirkland actually makes. Well, they get it from Barton, but you know what I mean. Like
it's a little better
good stuff. Yeah,
I wish I could snag that Kirkland stuff. We don't have Costco's here, and you can't get liquor but in a liquor store here. But next time I'm in a state where I can get one, I'm going to grab it because people say it's great.
The single barrel that I got, it was a distiller's pick, man. It was amazing. I got to look and see if I still have some because I know you said you wanted the Oak and Eden. And like I said, that goes great with a cigar. By itself, you said you're not a big fan of Nulu. By itself, it reminds me of Nulu, like Nulu toasted. But with the cigar, good gracious.
Hey, quick side question, Brian. The Costco is not in New York. Is that because of communism? I'm just asking for a friend.
Well, yes, it is. It is New York,
so it can't be.
I was just curious. I'm not sure how it works up there.
If they're in California, so it can't be the communism. It's got to be something else like that, though.
Pretty much, that's what's happening, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and so real quick. Actually, Sean, we did not ask you what you're drinking, but it looks like you're drinking a beer.
No. So, this is LaCroix, which is nothing. I mean, it's something.
LaCroix. Hey, that's my work drink.
Hydration. And this is for anyone that cares. Also, LaCroix still up for sponsorship. Should you reach out? This is the grapefruit one. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
I believe it's Pamplemousse. I'm sure. I'm
Pamplemousse. Exactly. Pamplemousse.
Yeah. I didn't even try and pronounce it, Bobby, because I don't even know. I couldn't even. Yeah. Whatever. Yeah.
Pamplemousse for grapefruit.
Yeah. Very fancy. Very fancy. But what I'm drinking I guess, kind of Bobby's suggestion to Myron, which then led to me following in Myron's footsteps. I'm also drinking very old Barton 80 to start off the night. Yeah.
Oh, right on. I've got a giant bottle of the 100. I'll pour that in a little bit.
Right on.
All right. So let's bring out. So first off, Ben, Bourbon Oak Ben is possibly stuck in traffic. He had a family obligation, and then on the way home, he said that the weather kind of took a shit. So they're having some. I think it's the bomb cyclone that's hitting Minnesota right now. So Ben may or may not come a little bit later. We'll see. But we'll keep your spot warm for you, Ben. And let's go ahead and bring in our guest from the Frontiersman Adventures. This is Walt and Tina. Guys, welcome.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Well, I am so happy you guys came on. I couldn't even tell you how I found your channel. It must have been through bourbon. You were doing a bourbon review or something like that, and then I kind of did a deep dive. And you have such a cool channel. Will you kind of introduce yourselves to the folks here and just tell us a little bit about what your channel is about? Because it's definitely about bourbon, but it's also about a lot more.
Yeah. So
I'm Tina.
And I'm Walt. And so, when I first started YouTube, if you listen to all the experts that tell you how to start a channel and all that, they say you got to have a niche. Well, I just kicked that idea right to the curb from the beginning. And I just basically did what I wanted to do, what I was interested in, like going to ghost towns out west. And I'm very interested in Bigfoot. So I started that journey and doing some things with Bigfoot. And then Tina and I travel, and we love to go to Vegas and Myrtle Beach and wherever.
For me, I pretty much just love to tag along wherever he'll take me. That's an adventure always.
And
that's
I'm
awesome.
Yeah, for that.
Absolutely. That's awesome. So, like we said, I kind of teased this as the week was coming on that, we're the Whiskey Six and we do talk whiskey, and we also get into other stuff. And tonight, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Like we are going to talk. Obviously, you heard Walt say he's got an interest in Bigfoot, and we all thought in the planning stream it would kind of be fun to go down that rabbit hole. Y'all don't know this, but I went and found the cryptid from each one of your states. So if you don't know what cryptid is from your state, you'll learn that tonight.
I do not.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I don't. So now I have something to search for when I'm out in the woods. Yeah.
Oh, yours has an interesting. Yours has an interesting name too, Sean. You'll like it.
Can't wait. Yeah.
Okay. So real quick, guys. Before we get started, just if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're kind of on a slow slog towards gaining subscribers. And if you haven't hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and never miss a Whiskey Six. We do this once a month. And we have a good time, and hopefully you guys enjoy it too. So go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for the Whiskey Six, and also for all of these channels here. We've got Whiskey Wars and Mash and Metal, which is Sean's channels, Bourbon School, Bourbon Drop, The Bourbon Note, Bad Axe Bourbon, and of course, Frontiersman Adventures. So thank you all for being here tonight, and let's go ahead and get going on this. So we're going to talk some whiskey stuff first. I feel like, hey Jeff, how you doing? I feel like this is something it's kind of worked its way into our discussions in the past. We've kind of touched on it here and there, but there were a few developments in the last couple of weeks that have really kind of made it a topic to bring up again. And Sean, you're the one who kind of brought up all these this turnover and retraction and all this stuff that's going on. So real quick, let me set out the topic, and then you can kind of give us a rundown of kind of what you've seen as far as what changes are going on and all that stuff. But we're kind of talking about, with all the turnover, sales, and retractions that Sean will kind of run down for us in bourbon recently. Is this the point where it's actually bursting? And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think what it might mean for all of us is more available, more affordable bourbon. But is that bubble bursting? And then we also kind of wanted to throw in there as a second kind of follow-up. Will a decrease in inflation, should that happen with the election happening and everything, will that make bourbon affordable again? So let's start with Sean. Sean, you kind of brought this up and had some things that were going on in the bourbon world that were kind of like giving you this idea that might be happening.
Yeah. So, I mean, now not necessarily related to the bourbon boom, but maybe just still seeing, companies going by the wayside, failing, dissolving.
Mm-hmm.
So, I think most people are aware that, Old Carter, I guess the sale has probably, I imagine the auction is probably done at this point. So it's probably sold to somebody. But yeah, so, I mean, Mark and Sherry, they were kind of going separate ways for other reasons, which we won't get into, but, nonetheless, so, Old Carter was up for sale, MGP as well, having some kind of issues with Lux Row and not agreeing on, how many barrels they were still going to, Lux Row was still going to accept. And so there's going to be probably some lawsuits there. And I imagine them not wanting to accept those barrels is probably because they see there's a downturn in the market. They've already signed this agreement, and they're like, well, we don't want to take all these barrels because we're not going to be able to sell them.
Right.
So, which makes sense from a business perspective. It's just, going to lead to a lawsuit probably. So, and then what was it? The folks that make Old St. Nick, they have completely shut down, stopped production. And then I'll hand it off to some of you other folks as well, because I know that some of you guys had mentioned some other things when we were talking about this. So I don't know who wants to go next.
Yeah, one of the other things I had heard was that Penelope was going to be, or MG, Penelope was going to be cutting production, which is basically MGP, right? So that they were going to scale back and retract a little bit. So I think that's a pretty good indicator. Bobby, what were you going to say?
Oh, nothing. I just had to.
Oh, you're messing with your mic. Okay.
Yeah. It looks like I'm raising my hand. You can't see my mic.
Yeah, it totally did.
I will say,
go ahead.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I will say that I don't know that the bubble is bursting. I will say that the higher the allocated stuff is, I did a little bit of research since our planning stream.
Sure.
That the allocated stuff and the harder to get stuff is staying, and maybe it's at least staying at the price where it's at, ridiculous.
Okay.
But the mid-range stuff, the everyday stuff, is all dropping just a little bit, except for Wild Turkey and Knob Creek for whatever reason. I guess the good quality shelfers like Wild Turkey and Knob Creek, not this Buffalo Trace stuff. But it seems like the allocated stuff is either staying or even going up a little bit. It's holding its ground, and everything else seems to be just dropped just a tiny bit. I mean, not dollars, but just a little bit.
Well, and sorry, go ahead.
No, I was saying I kind of feel the opposite, because so the Virginia ABC is kind of what I gauge everything by. All right, so I live in Maryland, but I work in Virginia, so I'm in Virginia a lot. And I've noticed that their prices have increased by anywhere from $3 to $5 on like just bottom shelf stuff. So OF 100 used to be $23.99. That thing has went up to $28.99. Now, believe it or not, there's still some stores around me where I can get, OF 100 and even Knob Creek 12 for like $55. But the Virginia ABC the Virginia ABC has surpassed, one of my favorite stores. But the middle tier stuff, the higher tier stuff, the Buffalo Trace stuff is kind of a roller coaster right now, because I could never get a stag. Like, somebody would always be on Facebook and in this area wanting a stag for $200-300 doll hairs or bucks. They put a little icon. But like, it's kind of hard now for people to want to go and buy that new Penelope at $90. It's 9-year 101. You know what I mean? It's like, it's hard to justify spending that. So I think we're scaling back, period. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing I would say to what you said, Myron, is that I think there's a difference between inflation and the bourbon bubble, because I mean, to me, like, at least in my mind, and I'd love to hear everybody's thoughts on this. To me, like, when I think of the bubble bursting, that kind of relates more to like secondaries coming down, bottles that were super allocated becoming more available.
Right.
That's kind of what I think of, not necessarily your shelfer price, because that's more attached to just overall inflation and things in general across the board going up.
Yeah, no, the bubble bursting part. I'm sorry to cut you off, Walt. The bubble bursting part. I forgot to mention it. Like I was saying, I was going into the $300 for Stag, and I was at Urban Meetup the other day, and the guy had it for, when I got it, it was $160. Which, believe it or not, it's hard to say that's a good price in my area. So I'm seeing
I believe
prices.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say that the one thing, you have MGP, which has said they're really cutting production. And then you have Buffalo Trace, who's trying to increase production by doubling their production. So I think that has an effect. We do see more stuff, because I live in Virginia too. We see a lot more Buffalo Trace products on the shelf, except for, like Byron said, we're still not seeing Stag or anything like that. And we're also not seeing Russell's 15. I think those kind of bottles are always gonna be sought after, and the price is always going to be a lot more.
Yeah.
But like when Buffalo Trace is on the shelf here, it's like $28, isn't it? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Wow. You see, I mean, in California, I think I had the highest prices everywhere. I get a Buffalo Trace for $23. It's a store pick.
Yeah.
Wow.
See, and we had
it everywhere. And I get handles of it for $42.
See, we had a time where you couldn't get it at all. Like, it went from being able to get it pretty cheaply to not being able to get it all. Then it was like we could get it, but it's $50 a bottle. And it was gone. Like, it would be $50 a bottle and gone like that. Like, you wouldn't get to the store in time to get one. Okay. And then now it's definitely, you can find it sitting on the shelves. It's probably in the mid to high 20s price wise. And that I think is the good effect of all this, is that if the bubble, I mean, obviously we're talking about companies cutting production, like MGP is going to cut back on production. But for the time being, I think if the bubble's bursting, there's going to be a glut of product. I think that'll be good for us. If for nothing else, is you'll be able to get stuff that maybe you wouldn't be able to get before, or were a little more difficult to get.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the only reason I can get that stuff.
Tina wanted to say something about the
drops. Go ahead, Tina. Go ahead.
Go, Tina.
I'll tell you. See, we were talking about how the drops. We used to, in Myron can tell you, in Virginia, you had to either on a Saturday they would announce that they're going to have a drop, and you have to get up early and stand in line. And you might get a bottle of something pretty good, but then again, you might get Old Taylor. So
yeah. And it always seemed to be like, after a while, especially, always the same things available.
Yeah.
And so that got kind of old. But this summer, they stopped doing that.
And actually, I think now you can go hunt in Virginia.
Yes. Which is
nice. For actually do a bourbon hunt.
Which is what we like to do.
And find something.
Yeah.
So, Walt and Tina, do you notice a variety? Because you're Virginia's state run, right? Mm-hmm. So do you notice a variety store to store? Because I know Lauren's in Pennsylvania, and their state run, and there is a very little variation store to store. Like, it's not very often you're going to find a shop and be like, ooh, I don't see this anywhere, because it's kind of homogenous from store to store.
It's pretty much the same, but they do give the store managers some leeway. So for instance, I walked into one store and they just had every Penelope there was, because I guess the manager and some people in this community were really into Penelope.
Mm-hmm.
So, but overall, I would say 90% of the stuff is the same from store to store.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So what do we think? Do we think the next couple of years are going to have any impact on bourbon at all? I mean, everybody's hopeful. Everybody, regardless of your political stripes, everybody is hopeful inflation decreases. So is that going to mean
once they release the next pandemic, then it'll be back to,
that's because everyone will be home and they'll have nothing to do but drink bourbon. Yeah.
Right.
And I honestly, am I right in assuming, like, I will say, I am later to the game than any of you. And so I really started this at the end of COVID. I started to collect a little more bourbon when I was sitting home and not going to school. But as far as doing this, I didn't start this until well after COVID. Do you guys, is there did COVID drive up the prices?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, without, yeah.
Yep. Especially on all the allocated stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think there was already a bourbon boom, and then everyone, as you pointed out, Brian, was home, and then they had the time to do these things, and they were like, okay, well, I've been thinking about getting into bourbon. I'm going to go ahead and do that. And everybody did that. And so, and then everything disappeared off the shelves. And now they're finally coming back. As far as to your question about inflation, and this may hurt some people's feelings. I, unlike some, do not think Trump is Jesus. So I don't think he's a miracle worker. So okay. I'm hopeful that inflation will slow down. I mean, obviously, I think anyone that thinks that just doesn't like Trump, they're like, well, I hope his whole whatever this is, the next 4 years is a disaster. If you think that way, it's going to hurt you too. So why would you?
The last 4 years, I want to be good all the time.
Yeah. So I mean, I think to what Myron said earlier, though, I don't think we're ever going to see shelf prices go down. I think they're where they're at. That's where they're going to be. And we'll likely see them go up to some degree in the future. I mean, that's just the way of the world.
Like everything does. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, all we can hope for is that the bubble bursting continues and that allocated stuff comes down and becomes more available. I think shelfer prices are where they're going to be, and that's just what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you guys think that Buffalo Trace? Because remember, Buffalo Trace spent millions to increase production. But so my hope is that we start seeing more stag on the shelf, good quality stag, not just stag to be stag, but we start seeing more stag on the shelf. For those who like Elmer T. Lee, start seeing that on the shelf again, like it used to be back in 13 and 14, 12 and 13.
Right.
But like MGP, they're starting to slow down on production. So do you guys think Buffalo Trace is they spent all this money, they need to recoup it, they're still popular, are they going to cut production?
Yeah.
It's somebody who knows more than me. Go ahead.
Well, I don't know anything, but I will say this. I think one thing we did, but that sort of created this bubble, is this craze that everybody had to go back out. I know that I had A121, the 120, 2021, I had all three of them. 2022, I had all three of them because I had to go get them. You just had to go get them. But this year I was like, I am not going to chase this stuff anymore. And I've stopped. Yeah. So now I'm missing out on the C924, so I probably have to get that. And my buddy Nathan bought me the other two, so I still got them.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat, Walt. I don't have the C, but I have the other two.
Yeah.
They finally put them on the shelves, Walt. So you should be able to walk in and get yourself
Yeah.
one now.
There you go.
The C is fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic.
Good.
I wish I didn't buy the other two and bought 3 of the C batch.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's really
Yeah.
good.
I bought a
It's
backup
really
of the
good.
C. It is that good.
It is, right? I'm going to pour some right
But
now.
see, that was the thing. We got into this thing where we just had to have like collections.
Yeah.
Like I had somebody
Yep.
tell me, you don't have a drinking problem, you have a collecting problem.
Yeah.
Well, and I think for me, and I've said this on videos before too, for me, I feel like coming late to the game, we missed out on a lot of those like legendary ECBP batches that everybody talks about. And so I have A, B, and C of last year, A, B, and C of this year. I think the C batch of this year is the best one of the 6 for me, but like none of them have like really rocked my socks. And I've said this about the Elijah Craigs. I've said this about some of the Stags, like some of these ones that are highly sought after. I feel like we are late to the game and that the quality has thinned out a little bit. They're not like bangers like they used to be. And you guys probably can speak to that more than me, but I don't think it's just people who are nostalgic saying, "Oh, the older ones are better." I think legitimately, it sounds to me like the older ones were just better.
Well, I mean, I've blinded, so some of you probably watched it probably a year ago. Me and Shredward, he sent me his 6 favorite Stags, and I sent him my 6 favorite ECBPs. Now, this was a year ago. And C920 won for me, which didn't really surprise me. It's probably my favorite batch that I own.
Yeah.
And it just was diminishing returns as you got closer to our current date.
Yes.
And so, that's always been a point of contention between me and you, Brian, because you're always kind of a Heaven Hill hater because you don't see the hype. And that's fair because, like you said, you didn't get those kind of legendary batches.
Exactly.
And so I'm probably still living in nostalgia to some degree. Whereas, truthfully, the most recent batches haven't been that amazing. So
yeah. And I've asserted that, but I've asserted that blindly, like not having those older batches. It's hard to really make a definitive call on it, but I just feel like just the way people talk about them, I'm like, man, we freaking missed out. Like we missed out on some good stuff because we came to it in 2022,
The
But
good news is that Wild Turkey 70th anniversary is delicious.
It's so good.
It's good.
I'm sorry, Myron, go ahead.
No, I was saying I've been drinking bourbon since around 2012, 2013, right? But I stayed in certain lanes. Like started out with Booker's, but I would only go to Booker's every once in a while. I mainly stayed with Knob Creek, Henry McKenna, and John J. Bowman. Like those were my 3 favorites. I really didn't step out of that 100 proof range a lot. So even though I've been in it, I missed out on a lot of bottles. I did a blind with the Pirate bottle that a guy sent me and the C923, which was phenomenal. The C923 was phenomenal, but it couldn't beat the Pirate bottle. It couldn't beat the Pirate. All old whiskey that I've come across in older bottles has been better.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of that is the bubble causes they gotta thin it out to meet demand. And I think that's what we're experiencing is thinning out the batches to meet demand. So it's not always the quality that it used to be.
Well, for example, he mentioned the John J. Bowman. I have a single barrel from a couple of years ago that's way better than the most recent one. It's crazy.
Well, so Walt had mentioned, because Buffalo Trace has nearly doubled their production. And now we're kind of certainly on this downturn in the bourbon market. So what will that mean? I mean, what I hope it means, because they're not going to suddenly sell more. I don't think Buffalo Trace, just that company, can turn this around. So what will happen is they'll suddenly be sitting on a lot more whiskey, which means it's going to keep aging. And if this stays this way for a while, we could start seeing some just absolutely hitter stuff come out from like new stuff that they haven't even done yet come out, Buffalo Trace, and all these distilleries, and start getting some of that really old, really well-aged whiskey that we haven't had in the market in a while.
Yeah.
And start seeing those hitter bottles again. So that's what I'm hopeful for.
And hopefully it's not all $2,000 a bottle.
Yeah, well,
or 7,500.
Right. That's the Daniel Weller, right? $7,500.
What was that? The Millennium?
Yeah,
The Millennium, right? The Weller Millennium.
There's one at my local for 10,000 if you want it. So,
and we need more of this. The 2XO.
Yeah, you like that, huh?
And that was another one that went away. Kentucky Owl.
Yeah, right.
So now Dixon, is it Deadman Dixon?
Dixon Deadman, yeah.
Dixon Deadman.
His family founded Kentucky Owl, then he moved on to 2XO. What is that one?
Yeah.
B520?
Yeah.
Is that a good one?
Yes, it's not bad. I mean, basically the whole 20 line is pretty good. I think in ascending order, A is worst. I mean, saying worst is not really the right word. It's still better than most things current day.
Right.
And then B is next, and then C is my all-time favorite that I own. So
yeah.
Cool. But see, I can't stop chasing them. I've got I am such a huge fan of Heaven Hill. Like I buy all of the Bernheims now. I buy all of the Elijah Craigs. I can't find the Larceny. The Larceny has been taking a long time to get into the market. Have you seen it, Walt? Because I have not seen the new Larceny yet.
I haven't, but Nathan's in the chat. He might. Nathan sees everything every day.
I have the A and the B, Myron, but I don't have the C.
The C is the one with the new jacket. It's got the brand new labeling. It's got
the new label's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Oh my God, it's good.
That's on my list. I have my local shop has their raffle this weekend, and that is one of the ones on my list is to get a Larceny. I'm going to go for a backup of Stag first, and then Larceny's on the list, and a couple other things, but she's got some nice bottles. She's got a Pappy 15, a Lot B, Old Rip, and I mean she's a little shop, and she got some really nice bottles this week. So it'll be a fun time. Cool. Okay, so I've seen the new label ones, not the barrel proof here and there. Yeah. So we have a couple of the new label ones on the shelf at our local shop for the raffle. It's a sharp looking bottle. I have the A this year. I don't have the B, so I'll grab the C hopefully and maybe compare them. But how is the B, Sean?
Of which?
The Larceny. You said you have the Larceny A and B?
I mean, I'm liking it fairly well.
Oh, damn. That's you.
That looks like my bottle, Sean.
Okay.
Boy, I don't even have that much of my A gone. Dang, Sean.
Yep. The A is there. I mean, I've had it longer, significantly longer.
Yeah.
I got the A almost as soon as it came out, and I got the B kind of late. So that said, I prefer the B. I think the B is very good.
Cool. All right. So let's get into some interesting stuff here. So we'll start first of all, Walt and Tina. One of the aspects of your channel that I found to be very interesting is your focus, your videos about cryptids, particularly Bigfoot. I saw one about the wood booger. Like there are some.
Here we go.
So you've got some interesting stuff. So here's what I want to know. Here's what we want to know first. Where did this interest come from? How did you start going down this road? And kind of what is your point of view on things like Bigfoot and cryptids? So give us a little bit about that. And then before we get too deep into it, we'll get Bobby to give his opinion, because I know Bobby's got to jump out of here fairly early. So, but Walt and Tina, tell us about your cryptid, Bigfoot, X-Files type videos that you make.
Well, first, let me say that the next time I go to California and do a Bigfoot hunt, We're gonna bring Bobby with his axe.
Yes. I'm in. I am in. I am in.
We definitely
For
that
sure.
way. We'll not see any though with that thing.
Yeah. They'll stay away.
But
Oh,
I
man.
guess what I when I was a little kid, and I was probably 7 years old when the Patterson Gimlin film came on in 1967.
Okay.
So it might have been on TV about 1968, but he filmed it in 1967. So I remember as a little kid, and I forget what show it was on or whatever, but I remember seeing that on the screen, and I just thought that, like, man, that's real. That's real. I mean, I was like 7 years old. So, but that was all, then as a kid, you just go on, you play sports and you do your thing. Then I think I was hiking one day out here in Virginia, and having watched that show, Finding Bigfoot, which mostly I find ridiculous. What I like about that show is the people that they interview at the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think they tell some pretty interesting tales. And then once they go out in the woods and they're doing their thing, there's the Patterson Gimlin.
Yeah, that was just wanted to put up the picture of the film. Everybody knows this image.
Yeah.
So,
and so I was hiking. I thought, well, I'll just Tina and I remember we were hiking together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we felt like we were being watched.
Yes.
Do you remember that?
Yes, that's for me. That's kind of my experience as far as it goes. It's like a completely different feeling when you're normally hiking, and it just everything's quiet, everything kind of changes, and you just feel like you're being watched and almost kind of followed.
okay.
Right. Yes. And so I went there by myself, and I thought, well, I'll just hit a tree. This is before I had started YouTube. And I hit a tree 3 times, and I stood there for a few minutes, and I didn't hear anything. I started walking, and then I heard. So I stopped, and I actually turned my camera on. And then you hear 3 clacks. You hear 6 altogether. And I was like, whoa. But I had my camera out to pick that up.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, I don't know what to do with this. So it was like, I forget, maybe 2013 or something like that. I just stuck it up on my channel. It might have been before that. I just stuck it up on it was under my name, Walt Raines or whatever. And I just stuck it up there. And it sat there for years until I got 1,000 subscribers. And then it blew up. And it's got like over 250,000 views now. It's like a 1 minute short.
Yeah.
So so that's the start. And we can go on later, and I'll tell you when I actually did go to California and what I saw. But
Okay.
Now, Tina, when you said you felt like you were being watched, because I know a lot of people say like there's a smell, like there's this weird skunky smell sometimes. Was it a really pungent odor?
Now, I've never had that happen.
Okay.
I've never had that experience. The times we've gone hiking many, many, many times. But this one particular time that he's talking about was just some random time, probably sometime before he did, the knocking and all that.
Yeah.
It was just kind of late in the evening. We're going along, and then all of a sudden you just kind of feel, it was just like a feeling you had, the way the woods were still, quiet, and but other than that, no sighting for
smells.
Me or smell or anything like that. But the feeling, if I could just explain like how it gives you, I don't know, sort of gives you the creeps, but it's like,
it's awareness. They want you to know you're watching. They're
Right.
watching you.
It's like I was intruding.
And I was, like we had stayed too late. That was the thing. But the thing is, I asked Tina, I was like, do you feel like you're being watched? She says, absolutely.
Yes. Let's get out
creepy.
of here.
Yeah. So it was pretty crazy.
When the woods go quiet, when the woods go quiet like that, it's kind of like something's around.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's just hard to explain, but a real feeling.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, I'm just going to posit a guess here. I'm going to say it was Diddy. It was Diddy that was watching you.
He was watching for sure.
He'll be nowhere near the woods.
He's got cameras everywhere. He's got cameras everywhere.
Well, that's true.
Show.
That sounds like a Diddy story.
How about from behind a pine tree with a bottle of baby oil?
There you go. Just rubbing his hands. We've all seen the meme.
Yeah. Oh yeah. You want me to jump in?
Is Brian saying things? Because he is muted if he is.
Yeah, sorry, Bobby. I was going to say, what is your take on this? What's your cryptid? What lane are you in here?
Okay, so I'm torn on this stuff because I want it to be real so badly. I want it to be real, and I'm not even saying that it's not, but I really want it to be. But do I believe in all this stuff? I don't know. But I have had some kind. I didn't tell you guys this the other night, but I have had a little bit of a weird experience. When I was in the Air Force, or at my first base in F.E. Warren, Wyoming. So much to do there. But, sorry, was that pop too long? So your minds wander anyway. So anyway, we're a bunch of young dudes. We're like 19 and 20 years old, right? We're all the same age. We're all in town. So we're all doing the cruising thing, right? Like you did back in the day before we got computers and stuff. Mm-hmm. So that's because that's how old I am. Anyway, there's probably between 6 and 8 of us. We got a couple of cars. We're parked, right? We're parked on the side of the street. There's a church across the street that's got a bell tower, right? I think it's a Catholic church, but it's got a bell tower. So we're all just BS, and it was just kind of weird. There wasn't really many other people around. Then all of a sudden, there was a little bit of lightning going. It was the perfect setting, right? It's like movie setting time, right? There was the weather was just kind of weird. It's weird in Cheyenne, Wyoming anyway. It's kind of like in the Carolinas. It'll be great all day. Then it'll rain for 10, 20 minutes and it'll be gone like it never happened. But probably same in Virginia. But anyway, we're looking up in this bell tower. All of a sudden, we see this
fireworks.
This spear fingers. So we see this figure and it's like these eyes flashed. I'm telling you, all at the exact same moment, we were all sprinting back to our cars to get the F out of there. It was freaking weird. It was weird. There's nothing going on. It was probably 10 o'clock at night. There's no one there. And it just, all of a sudden, we're all right. And when we got back on base and we felt safe, that's when we started talking about it. What did you see? This is what I thought. What did you see?
Oh, wow.
And it was this like a flash in the background. It was this big shape. And then, but not only was there a flash in the background, there was like it seemed like eyeballs flashed too.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's not a Bigfoot thing, but I don't know what it was. It was inexplicable. It was crazy.
Actually, a lot of people have reported seeing lights before they see a Bigfoot.
So Bigfoot goes to church.
That you hear a lot of stories like that.
Hey, everybody loves Jesus, Bobby. Okay.
Yeah. I'm not saying it. No, I just didn't know Bigfoot was an eye flashing thing. I don't know what it was, but it was big. It was a hulking figure, a humanoid type of shape up there in the bell tower. That's what creeped us out. It was just one of those things, right?
So Bobby,
at the same time, without talking to each other, we were just like.
Bobby, are you familiar? Have you heard of the Dark Watchers?
No, but I think I'm about to.
So this is the California thing. So
don't tell me that.
Dark Watchers described as tall, featureless dark silhouettes adorned with brimmed hats or walking sticks. most often reported to see in the hours around twilight and dawn. Motionally watch travelers from the horizon.
I believe the correct name you're looking for is pedophile.
That's creepy.
Anything again?
Well, that is your California cryptid, the Dark Watchers.
Now,
And I didn't know that.
now, for the people that are viewing, I 100% believe Bigfoot's real because I saw one, and whenever you guys, we can tell that story because it'll take a few minutes, so that can be down, pushed back, or whatever. But
No, that's okay.
and
Let's
I've
have
heard
it,
so
Walt.
many different versions of Bigfoot, and there's so many. Like the wood booger is just the name for
Love that name.
a Bigfoot.
Yeah, and to Bobby's point, how we got stuck with Bigfoot instead of wood booger, no one knows. But very
Right.
clearly, we need to go with wood booger from here out. That's the official name.
Just bring back wood booger.
Yeah, somebody poured a lot of money and PR into Bigfoot.
Yeah,
Yes.
And then they did
everyone.
the truck and all that stuff. And
Dude,
We need
you know what?
hashtag wood booger to start trending.
Yes. If you put bring back wood booger on a shirt, people are gonna ask you what it is, and then all of a sudden it's gonna blow up.
yeah, just walk around with a wood booker T-shirt, and people ask you what it is. You're like, I'm bringing it back.
This is
Yeah.
a movement I can get behind right here.
Absolutely.
Ask me about wood booger.
All right. So, Walt, I feel like maybe now's as good a time as any to hear the Bigfoot story.
So, hey, on that, I'm gonna.
All right,
cut out
so
right
Hold-
now,
hold
I'm
on.
gonna cut it into your halfway into your explanation. So,
Sure
cheers,
thing.
cheers, everybody. I appreciate it. Cheers,
Cheers.
everybody.
cheers.
Hey, cheers, Bobby.
I will
Guys,
watch
go
the rest of
subscribe
it
to
later.
Pet Expert if
Cheers.
you've not already.
With the Bigfoot.
Cheers, Bobby.
Yeah.
Cheers, peeps.
Have a
See ya.
safe one, man.
Thank you. See you guys.
Hey,
All
cheers,
right,
Whiskey Wisdom.
We'll be in touch. I'm coming to California maybe next year.
All right.
So, after the tree knocks, remember I told you I hit the tree.
Mhm.
That really piqued my curiosity, and I started doing more hikes, kind of looking. But then when I moved out to Kingman, Arizona, back in 2020, right?
Yeah.
And then 2021, I decided that I was going to finally go out to where the Patterson-Gimlin film was actually shot,
Mhm.
and that I saw on TV when I was a little kid. So I headed out, and before I left, I made a phone call because I was going to spend the night or 2 nights in Willow Creek, California, which is, Northern California and those big giant trees up there. But so I called the lady and asked for a room, and she goes, "Well, why are you coming up here?" And I said, "Well, I just want to, see the area and maybe see a Bigfoot." And the lady says, just matter of factly, she said, "Well, if you get on the right road, you'll see one." And I was like, okay. So, so after I got there and I checked in and everything, I put my stuff up, I headed on out because I wanted to hit these roads before the sun was setting. And I went up this one dirt road and for a pretty good while up this mountain. It was absolutely beautiful. You could see for miles. It's just uninhabited land because it's near the Hoopa Indian Reservation.
Okay.
So then and I got out of my car and I walked and again I had that sort of feeling like something's watching me the whole time, but I didn't see anything. So I got back in my car, came back down and said, all right, I'm gonna go up Bluff Creek Road. And that's where Bluff Creek is where the Bigfoot was filmed, 1967.
Okay.
So I head up Bluff Creek Road, and I went on this road for like 20 miles. Hadn't seen anything, not another person, nothing. And all of a sudden, up on my left side, there's this bear comes running off the hill, runs in front of my car, then he goes right down the side off the road to the right. So being a YouTuber at that time, I just pull over, so I'm gonna get this bear on camera. So I got out, got my GoPro, and I'm trying to find this bear. And I didn't see him anywhere, so I turned it off. And I walked to the front of my SUV, and I'm standing there like this, just looking in the woods. And all of a sudden, I see this thing take 2 steps between trees that were probably 12 feet apart. A lot of brush. The sun was setting, and it completely just blew my mind. I was like, "Oh my God!" And your mind is wanting to put that in a file, like, "Oh, this goes here," but there really wasn't any place. So it's like, was that a bear? And like, no, that wasn't a bear. I would have seen the whole bear. His legs were so long that it was just unbelievable. Man, in my opinion, he had to be like 9 feet tall. So then I look over and I see the bear right after that, about 50 yards to my left. And I was like, yep, that was not a bear. I mean, that just solidified in my mind what I saw. And that's what, it's weird. This poster, that's what this guy looked like right there. I just happened to see this poster. I forget, where was I when I saw that? But I was like, oh my God, I've got to. I was at the, I think the West Virginia Museum in Sutton, West Virginia. So I was like, I got to have that poster. So I bought that poster because that's the closest thing that sort of would what I saw, kind of like. So that's kind of like set my journey now where I know they're real. I've seen tons of footprints. I've had a handprint on the back of my car, and did a video in West Virginia where I had vocalizations. But my goal is I really want to get a good picture, a good video of that creature. Of course, everybody will deny it, but that's my goal.
So what's the verdict on that? What's the name of the video? The original footage from the 60s?
The Patterson Gimlin. Oh, what's the verdict?
Yeah, what's the verdict on that?
Well, Bob Patterson died. He went to his grave swearing it was 100%.
Okay.
Bob Gimlin is still alive. He swears to this day it was 100% true. They actually got in touch with Disney at the time and asked Disney if they could make a suit like that. And Disney said, there's no way. We did not have the technology in 1967 to do that. Now, there's been one guy that's a hoaxer who came in and says, I was the guy wearing the suit, which is pure BS. And if you see the suit that he had, like, it looks like a clown suit compared to, if you watch the Patterson Gimlin film, and you watch my video, I'll talk about it when I was out in Willow Creek. You can see the muscles on this creature. You can see where their hands almost touch their knees, and like beside her knee, her right above her knee, it's like her hands have hit where that just wore the fur off of her legs. And it's just a crazy. I mean, nobody's going to make that with the muscles on that thing the way it is.
So this has not been debunked by anybody.
I mean, there's people that's tried. I mean, people are going to say anything, but seriously, serious people like David Politis, who I brought this book to show you, the Hooper Project. Okay. If you really want to know about Bigfoot, and number one, you go to my channel and you watch all the videos. Bigfoot and Crypts, you just watch them, just let them run. Yeah. And then you go to the Hooper Project by David Politis. And if y'all don't know who David Politis was, he was I think a Los Angeles police detective. He retired, and these people approached him wanting him to actually go out and discover whether Bigfoot was real or not.
And investigate.
Mm-hmm.
Just investigate as if it was a, real being. How you would investigate a murder or something like that. So he took that approach, and he even had a forensic artist with him named Harvey Pratt, who drew pictures of what people saw, and that's a picture that somebody saw of a Bigfoot right there.
Okay.
Here,
Interesting.
there's some other good pictures. Let me show you one more.
All right.
Want
to solo him, Maria?
Look at this. Look at this.
Hang on, tell him, hang on.
Oh, hold on 1 second.
Got it.
There we go. Okay.
That's kind of the look I'm going for right there.
Right.
Ah.
And so,
The top left picture, especially. Yeah, that's a
and it's
long hair, long beard. Yeah.
a lot of you guys know that the media wants to put their spin on everything.
Yeah.
They want to debunk aliens. They want to debunk the fact that Bigfoot is a wild man and not an ape. Does that guy look like an ape? No. What I saw wasn't an ape.
All right.
So that's but
So-
that is the theory. A lot of people think they're apes, and I disagree.
So Walt, we kind of did this in the planning stream, but I thought of a few questions that might. So first off, I don't know the history.
Tina
of
can
it.
answer.
No,
Okay.
I don't have the Bigfoot experience.
Do you know roughly when people first started talking about this idea of Bigfoot? Like when was like the first mention?
Great question.
Okay.
Probably. Well, there's Native American history.
Okay.
The Native Americans, especially the Hoopa tribe, they just consider him Big Brother. He's always been there. If you go to like the Shawnee Indians, they have their history. The Cherokee Indians have their history.
So is there like any kind of written stuff from these tribes, or like?
I'm sure that we have gone in and have them write down their stories. So yeah, those things. But then you look back. This is David Paulides. Maybe you should have David Paulides on. But this is from 1772. In this book, this book is called Bigfoot, Wild Men and Giants that David Paulides wrote. He went back and, we owe a complete debt to David Paulides because he went back and researched articles from 1770, well, actually 1680 to 1922.
Okay.
Where people have seen these things. Of course, they didn't call them Bigfoot then. They called them
wood boogers, I imagine.
Yeah, wood boogers. And so, like, a wild man has been seen at San Pedro Bay, Florida, and this book's amazing too. That's really good. Good stuff.
So you were talking about how the media spins things, and I know you already gave this answer, but I'm going to ask it live for the audience. What do you believe Bigfoot to be? Like your best guess?
I honestly, what I saw looked 100% like it was a real being that lived out in the woods. Okay, but I hear like part human. But what I don't know is because Bigfoot, they've done the DNA samples and there's 2 alleles, and I'm putting Brian to sleep now. Like you and I, all of us have 2 alleles, one from mom, one from dad. But the DNA samples that's been collected on Bigfoot have 1 allele that is a human, and the other allele is a hybrid of unknown species.
Okay.
So they don't know what the other thing is. So that leaves it open for me. What is it? Is it an alien? Is it something spiritual? Is it something demonic? I don't know.
So then, as far as you believe, then they are partially human. Then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. If you look and read the Bible about the Nephilim.
Well, so I was. It's funny you were going to bring that up because I was going to mention that. Yeah. Yeah. They were hybrids as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and they supposedly came down. They were cast out with Satan and came down and had procreated with beasts.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah,
that could have created a lot of things. You mentioned dogmen, like you mentioned other things.
Yeah.
I mean, I really don't know. That's like going a really big rabbit hole.
Yeah, well, so just real quick, and we'll get back to the main topic. You know, there's this whole school of thought, Walt, that that potentially these beasts that we see in like Greek mythology were not necessarily mythology, but just spawn of that time period. You know, so we had, you know, half men, half horse, and half men, half bull, all these various things. So, you know, there is potential there that was real and not just mythical. But
right.
Also, welcome Ben.
Let's welcome Ben to the show.
What's happening, everybody? How you guys doing?
How are things in snowy Minnesota, Ben?
Terrible. I just came from, we went out to dinner for our youngest 18th birthday. So the youngest one, all the kids are adults now. So
wow.
But that was about 25 miles away, and it was just literally smooth glare ice the entire drive.
Oh my God. So is it like freezing rain, not snow? You're not getting snow. It's like freezing.
No, it's snow, and then it like the plows didn't get out right away, and it all just got packed down. And then it's like this hard layer of just smooth ice, and then like a light snow on top of it. It was the slipperiest freaking roads.
That's the worst.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, so it was driving 25 miles an hour the entire time. But it's good to be here now. Better late than never. So I'm happy to have been.
Glad you made it back home safe, buddy.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
Thank you.
So Myron, you've been very. Sorry, go ahead, Ben.
I was going to say I wasn't going to go 2 months without hanging out with Myron on one of these because Myron, you had to miss the last one because you were down working on the hurricane stuff, right?
Yep. You're muted. Brother.
You're muted. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, my.
Can he hear us? Can you hear him?
He can hear us. Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
I think Brian froze up.
No.
Or Myron.
No, I just. I
can't hear Myron.
No.
No, it's still got nothing, Myron. I don't know what changed exactly, but
it doesn't say muted on our end, Myron.
Yeah.
Just FYI. So Ben, while Myron's fixing his audio, real quick, we've been there he goes. We've been talking about cryptids, Bigfoot, all this fun stuff. Do you have a position on all of this?
I mean, I don't have a strong position either way. I don't think I'd be necessarily shocked. You know, it is kind of one of those things where you think if there was a Bigfoot, it would have been found by now. But, you know, Walt, like you said on our planning stream, like there's planes that have gone down in the Pacific Northwest and they never found them, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, there are areas out there. I mean, you get out there and travel and you get into some areas and you get to some of these big scenic overlooks in the mountains and you can just see for, 100 miles of just pure wilderness and mountains. And it's like, I don't know what the hell could be out there.
Places humans have never been. I mean, as small as West Virginia is, there are a lot of places humans have never been in West Virginia. And here's the other thing is
not been recently.
My whole life since I was a little kid, and people say, well, we'd see bones. Not one time in my entire life have I ever seen a bear's bones in the woods.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, and only maybe one or two other occasions I've seen a fresh deer, but never a bear. So you just things decay, get scattered, and they're gone so quick. And if Bigfoot's intelligent, he's going to take them away somewhere.
You mean as relatives? You mean?
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, the mic died. Sorry about that. The mic died.
That's
I
all
was
right.
charging the way up. Had to plug it in.
So Myron, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean. Then we'll get to Myron.
Yeah, no, I had one last question for Walt. So now, granted, we don't know exactly what the thing is, I suppose. So maybe, and I'm not a proponent of evolution, but we're just talking hypotheticals here. So if this was a product off of the evolutionary tree, it seems like it would be the dominant species and not us. So why aren't there more of them instead of less?
I don't. You're more
Is
of
there
the
an opposable
Bigfoot?
thumb?
Yeah. Who knows?
That's a great,
Yeah, good call.
that's a great question right
Oh,
there.
there is an opposable thumb, correct? I mean, they have hands like ours.
That's yeah.
Yes.
As far as we know.
That's what
Yeah.
the reports are.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah.
But they don't. One thing how are you going to force them to? We can't put them on a reservation. You can't.
That would be a dick move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a.
All I'm saying
There is a story. Yeah. Now Todd Standing. You ever heard of Todd Standing?
No.
Todd Standing is a Bigfoot expert. Most people think he's not telling the truth. He was on one of Survivor Man.
Yeah.
What's his
Les
Stroud.
Bear. Okay.
He was on one of those episodes, and
Okay.
so Les Stroud and Todd Standing went up into the, I think somewhere in Oregon or Canada or something like that. I think Canada. And Todd Standing tells a story how he was out doing one of his Bigfoot research things. And all of a sudden these helicopters came in, they landed, they got out, and he said he heard shots go on for like 20, 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no, like, what is he shooting? Todd Standing thinks they were wiping out a Bigfoot family. I don't know.
Interesting.
And just you just hear all these different stories. I'm not vouching for that. Not going to vouch for Todd Standing, but he is interesting. He's brought a lot of good stuff too. So.
Yeah, I mean, I do have to comment on the bone thing that we went through a few minutes ago, and then I'll give the floor back to everybody else. But so as I kind of mentioned on the planning stream, I am a pretty avid hunter, and I've been in the woods a lot, and I've seen a lot of bones from all kinds of animals: squirrels, birds, deer, bear, coyotes. I mean, basically anything that lives in Kentucky, I've seen a dead version of it.
Yeah.
So I do have kind of the same question, and that's possible. If a relative dies, and sure, if they're intelligent, they could, haul them away and potentially even bury them in some kind of way. I guess I don't have a tremendous problem with that theory. It does seem still far-fetched that we would never see any, though, because so there's plenty of humans get lost in the woods and die in all kinds of ways, and they're never recovered. So I would imagine at some point that would happen to, a Bigfoot. You trip and fall off a ledge, and then you end up in a river, and then your body's on a riverbank somewhere, and that would be hard for a family member to collect in any kind of way. Mm-hmm. So again, like if they've been around for a long period of time, it does feel unlikely that we would have never found evidence. I mean, real evidence, like physical evidence of any.
Yeah, we've got. Well, there is DNA. There's been hair samples. There's actually been a couple people that found what they thought were giant's bones, which is probably a Bigfoot. And so they gathered them all up, and they sent them to the Smithsonian. They said they check them in, then we called, and then they would say, "What bones?"
Of course. It's like the Lost Ark in Indiana Jones. Just ends up in a warehouse, put away somewhere.
Yeah, well, I mean, believe me, well, I'm totally with you on not trusting the government. You don't have to convince me of that at all.
Hey, real quick, speaking, Brian, you just brought up Indiana Jones. Do any of you guys watch The Big Bang Theory?
No.
Yes.
Okay, so there is an episode. Sean, do you know what I'm about to talk about? Just real quick, there's an episode in there where Sheldon gets his girlfriend to watch Raiders of the Lost Ark for the first time.
Uh-huh.
And if you're a fan of Raiders of the Lost Ark, this like completely ruins it. Do you remember this one?
So, Ben, I feel like you should know this, but I have alcoholic brain, so I don't remember anything ever.
Okay, good stuff. So
refresh me.
The big thing is like he watches, and they're like big super nerds, and he watches Raiders of the Lost Ark, but has his girlfriend watch it for the first time, and it gets to the end, and he's like, "So, what did you think?" And she's like, "Yeah, it was pretty good, aside from the glaring plot hole." And he's like, "Raiders of the Lost Ark is a perfect movie. What are you talking about?" And she goes, "Well, yeah, I guess it's perfect except for the fact that Indiana Jones plays absolutely no role in the outcome of the movie." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And she's like, "Well, if he wasn't in the movie, the Nazis still take the Ark, they still bring it to the island, they still open it up, and they all die."
Yeah, it kills them all. Yeah.
Like, whether he was in the movie or not, that's what was going to happen the whole time.
Yeah, no say in it whatsoever.
And then the whole rest of the show is like him and his nerd friends trying to figure out ways that that's not true, and everything they come up with gets proven wrong. Yeah. So there you go. For all of you that had never seen that show, I just ruined Raiders of the Lost Ark for you.
There you
go. Now, Brian, now you're muted. Speaking of audio issues, where's Bobby?
He had to leave early.
Oh, okay.
So Myron, you said you're a big Bigfoot fan, but where are you on this stuff? Like, where do you stand?
I am. I do consider myself a believer, man.
Okay.
And look, I've watched some documentaries, and you know, like Walt said, some of the documentaries point out to the Patterson film that the hair just kind of moves too naturally. The muscles that are underneath, they were saying that the way that the muscles were moving, someone would have to be like super advanced, and we just didn't have that technology in the 60s. And they're just like, and we were talking backstage before we started. Sometimes things just happen so fast that the brain, you're trying to register what's going on, and something that happened to me, this doesn't have anything to do with Bigfoots. I love aliens. I love Bigfoot. I love, like I was telling you guys backstage, vampire movies, vampires, things like that. So back when this was early, my oldest son was like maybe 2 or 3 years old. And I was working the night shift. I was on my way home, same route I take home every night. I mean, same route. And I'm in my car. I still can remember the song that was playing on the radio that night. And I'm in my car, and I live by NASA Goddard, which is in Greenbelt.
Okay.
And I just all of a sudden, as soon as I saw it, that's how fast it went away. It was a light that came down, like from above the clouds, underneath the clouds, and then back above the clouds. And I sat up like, what the hell was that? So like, and don't get me wrong, the first thing I thought was, look, we do have technology. What did we have? The stealth bomber in the 60s or 80s or something like that? We had it way before we knew about it. So we do have technology that we don't know about. But I remember going home, and I remember being like just so wowed that I had to take the trash out. Like I wouldn't take the trash out. I'm looking up at the sky the whole time. So things happen that people just can't explain. You know what I mean? So like, I love the stories about Bigfoot. I love the stories about UFOs, just the unexplained, the chupacabras, you know, stuff like that.
Mothman.
Just looking into things like that, they just intrigue me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So do you want to hear what the cryptids in your state are?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously Walt and Tina, I'm assuming like that Bigfoot and the wood booger or whatever is kind of like your state cryptid, because you live in that area, the mountains, the forests, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So,
hey, Brian, if I may, before you start, someone call me a drink, please. I need something in my glass while I listen to our various cryptids here.
I'm going to go with a balcones. Something
How about-
balcones.
All
Peg
right.
leg porker.
Oh, look at you. All right.
That's good stuff.
That's like Tennessee whiskey, right?
Peg leg.
What is it?
It's Tennessee whiskey.
It's I think it is.
Yeah.
It tastes like a bourbon.
Nice.
It's
You're
Right.
having the single malt. Is that the single malt shelfer, Sean?
No, this is a store pick.
A pick? Okay.
Is
Yeah,
that-
the barrel proof. Yeah,
Okay.
this is
Excellent.
62.9% ABV.
We still got to talk about that rye. That is a wild bottle of whiskey, man.
Oh, I should have poured that. Yeah.
The regular
Okay.
shelf or balcones rye. Oh God.
Oh, this was a pick. Like I had a store selling it for $30, like just getting rid of it. There it is, right there. And I have one here.
Black
Sean.
coffee and Mexican chocolate, man.
It is.
You could not
wild.
pay me $30 to take that bottle.
All right,
No, this isn't a shelfer though.
Okay.
California. Bobby already told us he saw the Dark Watchers at his Air Force base, so that's perfect. So Minnesota, Ben, are you aware of the Minnesota Dogman?
I believe I have heard of that. Do we have like the Wendigo or something too, or is that more of like a Michigan or?
I think Wendigo is
Northeastern.
like Southwest, but Michigan also has a Dogman, so it's like the
Okay.
Michigan/Minnesota Dogman. And it's a
Okay.
it's a dog. It's a Dogman.
Well, so
Interesting.
does he run on all fours like werewolf? Like, what are we talking here?
I'm glad you asked, Sean. Here's what I've
He
got.
does both.
Yes, there's the Dogman that's like an upright canine, and then there's another type that's a type 3, describes looking like Sasquatch with a muzzle instead of having a flat face. So it sounds like they can be either way. They can be on all fours or upright. So
Interesting.
yeah.
And
So
Scott Carpenter, who did a lot of Bigfoot research, he encountered a dog man, and he said that was about the scariest thing he's ever come on to.
no kidding.
I
All
mean,
What?
just comparing those two things, a dogman would be far scarier to me just because of the potential of it being much faster.
Right.
I too.
Yeah.
Right.
I just think it would be more.
I just think it's
creepy.
more evil. I
Yeah.
think they're
Ooh.
Probably more
I
prone to
told y'all a
indiscriminate
story where
humping
I
as
was
well.
going down. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Don't interrupt the
Yeah,
minute.
and not a thing you want to be humped by. Yeah, so like
Yeah.
it's the worst of all the humping.
I mean, I guess I'd have to let it sniff my hand first, and then we could go from there.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
does
definitely.
it say anything, Brian,
Calm
about
down,
like the
calm
region
down, for sure.
of Minnesota?
It
I would
does
assume up
not.
in the Arrowhead, probably.
It
Okay.
just says it is. They are commonly found in Minnesota and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan.
Okay, so probably like the upper, like the Minnesota Arrowhead is like the northern.
Okay.
Like north of
Right,
Lake
yeah.
Superior.
The upper part of the hand, the fingers, then is where.
Yes. Yes.
But
So,
Yeah.
I've actually been
Byron.
fishing and canoeing in the Boundary Waters.
oh, my wife's
Yeah,
going on a
see-
trip to the Boundary Waters. Oh, Ben, we got to talk. I might be coming to Minnesota, brother.
Nice.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me know.
Okay, Myron, you ready? Have you ever heard of the Snallygaster?
No, what the heck is that? Why do we have that the nerdy name?
The Snallygaster
That is
the
not a great name,
cryptid
right?
in the area of Frederick County, Maryland. You ready for this? This is going to give you nightmares, brother. The earliest incarnations of the creature are mixed half-bird features of a siren with the nightmarish features of demons and ghouls. The Snallygaster was described as half reptile, half bird, having a metallic beak lined with razor-sharp teeth, occasionally alongside octopus-like tentacles.
Okay.
Oh,
What the
That's
heck?
terrifying.
I'm just
that's
going.
scary.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say I don't believe in those.
Rumored to
I was
swoop
about to say the
silently
same
from the
thing.
sky and pick up and carry off its victims.
Brian, I have to ask: Do we have potential artistry drawings of these? What is it? I'm trying to picture this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me tell you what I found. I found this guy who's like a little bit of an artist.
Okay.
And he actually made little hold on, let me do my present here.
Demon.
You know we have really, really dug deep when even Walt right away goes, I don't think I believe in that.
There is his rendition of a Snallygaster.
Now one look. Oh, there's the mall.
Oh, wow.
Oh, the octopus things are coming out of the mouth. Okay.
Yeah, right? It's terrifying. Hold on. They've got a bunch here. There's Bigfoot. Oh, and you can click on these guys and then they'll,
Okay, so these are
The squonk. What the heck is a squonk?
These are
Squonk.
These are kind of like jokey versions of not like serious.
Well, nobody's got a photograph, Sean.
Well,
I don't know what you're talking about, Sean.
I can't imagine why.
Serious.
There's the Minnesota Dog Man.
Okay,
I don't know why I'm not sure why he's intoxicated, but there he is.
Yeah, I was just going to say that's just a dog drinking a beer.
Yeah, actually, I retract everything I said about the dog man being scary. I want to party with him right now.
Okay. Sean, I don't know if you're ready for yours.
Okay, let's get it.
Hold on. Here he is. The Pope Lick Monster.
He has an axe and he's smoking.
Why does he have an axe?
Wow.
But he's from Kentucky. I don't know.
So is this just like a demon goat with an axe? Why is that happening?
So it's a legendary part man, part goat, part sheep creature reported to live between a railroad trestle bridge over Pope Lick Creek in Fisherville, Louisville, Kentucky.
Very specific.
They knew where it lived?
I want to know what is going on with guys and sheeps up there. I mean, because if
you're thinking of the wrong part of the country, sir.
Part man, part sheep. That tracks. Kentucky.
The sheep thing is a different state. That is not a Kentucky thing.
Okay.
Well, I have relatives from Kentucky, and I had to tell them, listen, those sheep are not your harem.
Off limits.
So mine, I don't even think they have mine here. Mine is Champ or Champy, which is it's like the Loch Ness Monster of Lake Champlain.
Why? Can you scroll back up, Brian?
Yeah.
Why do all like that one right there, the Tennessee Wild Man? Why do they all have like the full-on badonkadonk going on?
Yeah, he's got his ass out. Yeah, look at that.
That is just clearly that was a naked guy. Somebody just saw a naked guy that had drunk too much, run through the woods.
I feel like I might have seen this one in a movie somewhere, not like a HBO After Dark movie, the Ozark Howler.
I just want to point out, like, me and Myron clearly have the worst ones. Like mine has an axe. He just
go back down
all the time.
Well, where was
one of those
Virginia?
Look at this guy.
Keep going.
It's like, how do you do?
Yeah, he just looks like fun. That's just a fun guy there.
I want to party with that guy. So this is probably closest to mine. It's like a lake monster. Champy is the name. Lake Champlain.
So Lake Michigan has Bessie instead of having Nessie.
Exactly.
Now, I have one more question on mine, Brian. It showed him smoking. Is that like part of his thing? He's always smoking?
I do not know if that's part of the lore, but I'm telling you, I swear, when all that stuff was going on with the Catholic Church, I swear I heard of the Pope Lick Monster before.
That sounds right. And like the Pope, after doing terrible things, they smoke after, I suppose.
Momo.
He looks like a strawberry with feet.
Oh my god!
The other one you showed with the butt out, that kind of reminded me of the Netflix Mike Tyson.
What was Virginia again?
Hold on, let me see. Let's see what they got for Virginia. Number 44 is Virginia. That's Bunny Man. Hold on, let me find Bunny Man.
Bunny Man, what the hell?
One of those things looked like it was just the pants from Saturday Night Fever.
Oh, there's Champy. Look, there's mine, Champy, New York State. Got a little life preserver on.
Oh, he just looks, he's a good boy.
He looks like a friendly little fella. There's the Bunny Man right there.
The bunny.
He also has an axe.
He has an axe.
Oh, yeah.
He's got an axe, huh?
Do you know of the Bunny Man, Walt and Tina?
No.
Never heard of that.
No.
Well, you're going to have to go find him.
Yeah.
It's a much smaller act, though.
We're gonna have to research that. Go find
Well, he can't help his genetics, Sean.
Okay, so hey, Sean, Brian, go back down. Could you just like right there? Does that look like a pair of white pants, like John Travolta's pants from Saturday Night
The
Fever?
Yeah.
Fresno Nightcrawler.
It's the Fresno
Nightcrawler. It's just a pair of jeans.
It's the faces in the crotch there.
I got to say, the face being in the crotch is what makes it disturbing.
Or intriguing.
You know what? Whatever does it for you, Ben. I don't know.
Funny or hot, you decide. All right. Anyway, those are your local cryptids, guys. So go out and find them. We want video evidence whenever you can.
I mean, if mine was not
definitely
an
looking
axe
for the
murderer,
dog.
I would like try and actively search this thing out. But a goat that has an axe in his hand that's just smoking all the time, that thing is
Yes,
way
he's
too-
also high on marijuana, so you never know what he's going to do with that axe.
There's
Well, I'm definitely going to be on the lookout for all these creatures on our next adventure,
Yeah, absolutely.
whatever
absolutely.
state we go to, but especially going across the
I'm
United States.
going to start shooting every bunny I see now.
If nothing else, you'll make a delicious stew.
Right.
there's not a ton of goats in Kentucky, but I'm going to start shooting them as well.
All right, so it's time for rapid fire, guys. We are going to have 3 rapid fire questions today. We picked Myron, Ben, and Walt and Tina. So Ben, are you prepared with a rapid fire question? I have a board, so I know who to ask.
Oh, okay. I like that.
Yeah,
He's a
The show
teacher.
is the production value on this show is just skyrocketing.
I
It
know, like
It
I
really
don't
is.
know. It's like
Thank you.
What do you got, Ben?
So hit me with a couple of your favorite go-to that you watch religiously, non-Whiskey Tube related YouTube channels or creators.
okay.
For sure.
I can go. Walt and Tina, go.
Paul and, Dale and Paula McKenzie.
yeah, Las Vegas,
Las Vegas.
inside and out.
Okay.
And Peter McKinnon.
All right. Excellent. What does Peter McKinnon do?
He's he's a photographer, but I watch because I try to steal some of his shots.
Okay.
And I'm
Cool.
making videos.
Myron, what about you?
No.
Anything political.
Oh,
sorry,
okay.
I'm a political junkie.
Okay.
I kind of am too, but what are your favorite ones?
You guys know I lean more left, so probably Pachman.
Oh, David
Sometimes
Packman. Okay.
Okay.
I've got a buddy that's far on the right. He sends me a lot of PBD and other stuff.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Mine, I'm next on the list, so I'm going to say Nerdrotic and The Quartering are probably my 2 favorite ones to watch on the regular. Sean, what about you?
I know Ben said 3, but I'm going to go 4. All right. So
just as many as you want. Yeah, as many as you want. Whatever your top.
if you want to do basketball stuff, Commissioner Dynamo, he's fantastic, especially when he roasts Joel Embiid because he deserves it. If you want to go food stuff, Guga Foods. Maybe can you stop making so much noise? Guga Foods. If you want to do food stuff, let's see here. Fat Electrician. If you want war stories, he's fantastic. And then last one. Dry Bar Comedy. I watch a ton of that. Yeah. So.
All right.
Okay.
And Ben, what are yours?
I like for news. I like watching Breaking Points. That's a good one. Kind of got left-leaning and right-leaning people on there that don't kind of pull any punches on attacking their own side of the aisles. So I like that one for politics. I pretty much never miss an episode of Part of the Problem with Dave Smith. Bridget Fetisi, Dumpster Fire. That's one of my favorite shows. That's kind of like a social commentary, just like a funny show, social commentary, political commentary sort of stuff. I've got Purple FTW. That's my Minnesota Vikings show that I check in with all the time. Okay. So, yeah, pretty much that. I watch a lot of politics like you, Myron. And so I like to get a good smattering of that because I like to hear all the different sides of everything. Yeah. But Sean, you being a libertarian, I'm interested if are you into Dave Smith or Part of the Problem? You're muted.
Sorry, there was a lot of noise going on around me, so I muted myself.
Okay.
No, so as much as I joke about politics all the time, I don't really consume that much. I just a little bit here and there. I primarily consume like meme content as far as politics go.
There it is. Myron, it's always the people that don't actually pay attention that have the strongest opinions, isn't it?
I don't even know. Well, okay, so that's not entirely true. I'm probably like under categorizing how much political stuff I watch, but I actually watch a lot of like Senate and Congress hearings, which
I do too.
Mainly because like that's where things are actually happening. I hate the news. I think the news is completely useless.
Yes.
So I mean, the way things actually get decided in this country is like what the Senate and the Congress decide. So that's where like the actual news is happening.
Right.
So I watch a lot of that just to see what's actually going on. But I mean, that's not very exciting stuff. So that's why I said the things I said instead of that.
Sure.
And I got to add that I watched David Politis's. It's called Can-Am Missing.
Okay.
Can-Am Missing.
411.
I think it's just Can-Am
Can-Am
Missing,
Missing.
but he talks about all the missing people, missing hunters, and stuff like that disappeared.
Interesting.
Hikers.
So it's really good, and he's got a Rumble page too where he's very political.
All right.
Cheers, Beach Sand Bourbon.
Yeah, Beach Sand Bourbon. How you doing? All right.
Walt and Tina. I watch that guy Scotty too, the guy who does all the reviews on the cars and the best cars to get. I love watching that guy.
Okay. All right. Walt and Tina, do you have a rapid fire question for us?
Well,
I do.
He does.
Okay.
All right, and I got to be able to give mine.
Okay.
But in a minute,
Yeah, of course.
once you get to me,
You're on.
where was the most interesting place you've ever shared or took a pour of whiskey?
Mm.
Ooh.
Okay.
Of whiskey in particular?
Hey, bourbon.
Now, so it's the place that's interesting and not the whiskey you're sharing.
It can be
It could be both,
but
but mostly the place where you shared this that makes that bourbon special.
Okay. I think you're undervaluing how much I love whiskey.
No,
Go ahead,
you
folks.
stay right here in my studio in my chair
Yeah.
where I drink all the bourbons.
nobody. Yeah, I didn't mean to stump you.
Well, because if whiskey is
Let
the focus,
me give you mine so that'll maybe get
yeah,
you.
there you go. Yeah.
Sure.
So I did Tina and I went out and did a video on the ghost town of Rhyolite, Nevada, which was an old gold mining town.
Mm-hmm.
And across the way, away from the town, away from the other cemeteries, was the cemetery of Lady of the Night, Mona Bell.
Mhm.
So we did a toast of 10 cup to Mona Bell right there in Rhyolite.
Okay.
So that's probably the most memorable pour that we've ever done.
Yeah.
All
Pretty
right.
cool.
I think mine would probably actually. I remember this very distinctly now. We were in Yosemite on a family vacation a couple years ago, and this is kind of like, I don't want to say it's like a cool thing or an awesome thing, but it was very kind of an interesting situation. We were sitting out on the patio at this lodge we were staying at, which was right near the entrance of Yosemite, and they were having wildfires there. And we're sitting at this beautiful lodge, like sitting. It's like dusk, and people are just around having a good time. And you can just see coming overhead the wall of the smoke coming like over the lodge, and it looked like a storm front coming in, but it was just all smoke from the wildfires.
Yeah.
And the sky was like pink and purple and all these great colors, and it was just a really cool, like weird place. Like it was neat. And then like, you know, when we went to the park, it was parts of it were closed off and stuff, but just sitting there that night and watching this fire come in and like sitting at this lodge and having this great time and knowing that, you know, just a couple miles away, there's shit burning down. It was pretty wild.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you were drinking?
I think it was most likely at that time probably just Knob Creek because we probably didn't have much variety, and Knob Creek is always the go-to.
Yeah.
If we're like somewhere where they don't have much, like, okay, give me a Knob Creek, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. How about Ben?
I don't know that I have anything super interesting with whiskey. Most of my like having a drink in like a really interesting place or location or time was kind of before I started drinking whiskey. But I mean, I've just had plenty of nights. You know, my wife and I like to go on cruises, so sometimes it's nice to go up to the top deck at night when you're in the middle of the ocean and it's just pitch black all around you and stars, and you can just sit out there and listen to the waves and have a pour.
Yeah.
So I always enjoy doing that every time we go on a cruise, or we just go up to the top level and sit in the hot tub at night with a pour of whiskey.
There you go.
That's great.
That's cool.
Sean, what about you? You're muted.
You're
bro.
muted.
There we go. Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, if you were to ask me favorite bourbon experience, I could nail that. That's not even, it's easy. But this is a different question. So I was trying to think. I always think about like sharing great whiskey together. I never think about the scenery around me because that's not what I'm ever thinking about. So I guess just off the cuff, I don't know if this is necessarily it, but this was kind of a fun one, and Brian was actually there for it. So we were at a restaurant together, my wife, his wife, and as Brian can attest to, we were having some issues getting drinks. And, and my patience had run out at this moment. And so I said, I'll be back. And so what I did is I went back to the car where there was plenty of whiskey, and I filled a Glen with whiskey, and I slid it into my pant pocket, and I had to walk very slowly back to the table, which was outside. And then I pulled my Glen out, and I started drinking my own whiskey because I was so frustrated by the bar that was inept and could not serve us alcohol.
And then I'm like, where did you get that? And Sean's just like, I went to the car. I was like, oh, okay.
That's great.
And you only brought one whiskey back?
Yeah.
It was hard enough to get one Glen back. In fairness, some of it did spill in my pocket. You would think that this shape would hold alcohol better than it does, but when it's sloshing around, it's very
right up the side. Yep. Yeah. All right, Myron, what about you?
I still had like at least an ounce left. Yeah.
I would have to say that it's not an interesting place because most of the whiskey I drink is at home. But I had like a bourbon meetup with family. It was just family only. It was my first one, and like a lot of my relatives are not really into bourbon. Some of them are just getting into bourbon, and they saw my YouTube channel. They follow me, so I was like, you know what? Let me have all my cousins over and we'll talk. Some of my friends. And man, it was like bourbon and cigars, and we just had a great time. And I went over some bourbon history, and I went over some bourbon notes, and we just had a great time. So like I said, most of my bourbon drinking is at home, and then I had some family over and some family and friends, and we just had a great time.
Yeah, that's all. You know, and that's one reason I like all those are great stories. And to me, sharing bourbons is about sharing like memories with people that you care about and just friends and whatever. So that's cool.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah.
All right, Myron, do you have a rapid fire for us?
Ben, I said Ben. Brian, I come ill prepared.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay because we're over anyway.
But what I was going to say was, believe yes or no. Just quick, yes or no.
Okay.
Bigfoot, yes or no.
Yes. Walt and Tina are an obvious yes.
Yes.
Of course.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I was distracted. What was the question?
Well, I don't
Bigfoot,
know,
yes or
Tina,
no?
you believe?
What's that?
Well, Tina
You
may
believe-
not believe just because I do.
Are you a Bigfoot believer, yes or no, Sean?
Oh, as I said in the planning stream, I am agnostic to all these kind of things. I mean, like, I could be convinced, as I said in the planning stream as well. Like, if someone showed me real evidence, I could be convinced.
I think
Okay.
for me, it was seeing is believing. That otherwise, I would still be like, I think so.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Right.
sure.
All right. Ben, what about you?
I'm saying, why not?
Okay. I like
Hold
it.
up.
He's very
How do you believe
open-minded.
in Bigfoot and not the neck pour? Come on, Ben.
Well, like Walt just said, seeing is believing. I've done the experiments. I can prove the neck pour.
Oh,
And I am assuming, Myron, you are kind of leaning towards yes, right?
I'm 100%. However, I will give credence to Sean's saying about the bones. That's one thing that just kind of that's one box that has not been checked for me.
Right.
And I've been in the woods. I don't hunt, but I do work outside. I've been in the woods plenty of times. I've seen multiple deer bones. I've seen multiple rabbit bones.
Mhm.
I've got not a lot, but I've got a few acres, and we get animals that pass away. So I've seen bones. However, I've never seen bear bones, and bears exist. And I've never seen Bigfoot bones, of course, and they may exist. But yes, I feel like I believe them.
But
right.
there has been DNA studies.
All right.
I'm a data guy, so if you can show me the data, I am like 100% all in.
All in.
Read the book Truth Denied.
I mean,
All right.
here's the thing, though, Walt, and I'm sorry to I don't want to like DNA of what? We have DNA of something, sure.
Tissues and hairs. Actually, they just looking under a Bigfoot's hair on a microscope is completely different from a human's hair or anything else.
Well, yeah, sure, but I mean that would be true of a lot of things.
No, it's different from any animal. It almost has like a reflective thing. It's very weird.
Okay, all right.
All right, guys. Well, I had a blast and I really enjoyed this discussion.
me too.
I love this stuff. Like I grew up a huge X-Files fan. I listened to like Art Bell and stuff when I was a kid going to bed. Like I love this stuff and I would love to do more episodes like this. I don't know if the audience would love it, but I would love it. But so we're going to do what we want. But
I was a George Norrie fan. I didn't get a chance to listen to Art Bell.
Okay. Yeah, I was a little bit of Art Bell, but yeah, you're right. Mostly George Norrie. But this was a blast. Walt and Tina, thank you so much for joining us tonight. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you guys a lot. And thank your audience for listening to us.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. And guys, everybody out there, I know it was a busy night tonight. There were a lot of people streaming tonight. We really appreciate you guys coming into our stream and checking us out. Greatly appreciated. If you could hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, and all these channels here, Frontiersman Adventures, Mash and Metal, Whiskey Wars, Bourbon Note, Bourbon Drop, Bad Axe Bourbon, and of course Bourbon School. If you would go and give them a subscribe, we would really, really appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us tonight. And everybody, guys, Whiskey 6, cheers to all of you.
One more time for Walt and Tina, man.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Walt and Tina. We
so much.
appreciate you guys.
Awesome.
Yeah.